Honey, let me tell y'all, Jack is on it. Jaguar Wright. And she is talking some stuff about them Diddy parties. And she says, you ain't gonna believe who got that package. You know they call it the house, honey. I'm not here to gossip, girl. I'm just here to share y'all what's going on, because you know, whoo, I ain't trying to get sued, okay? I came across this video and I think y'all will want to see this. All right, so I'm going to need y'all to like, share, and subscribe here. And I just want to say thank y'all for liking and sharing and all that. So let's see what Jack's saying and who is she naming that got that stuff. All right, oh my.
It had multiple stars in it. Nicki Minaj, Rihanna, Chris Brown, Justin Bieber, Drake,
Ron Jeremy, Denzel Washington, Beyonce Knowles, Ellen DeGeneres, Whoopi Goldberg, Lady Gaga, Chrissy Teigen, John Legend, Joan Rivers, Rob Saget. Do you want me to keep it going? Ask me. Everyone wonder why my smile is so deep. Everyone wonder why my eyes sparkle. Everybody always asks me, why are you smiling when you dance? Because you don't understand the live through. It's worth it to smile. And I'm still smiling. And I'm going to continue to smile. And majority of y'all who continue to ask me and going to tell me that I'm pointing fingers to kiss my natural flower. But and when it comes out, don't come running back. I shouldn't have to get this nitty gritty for people to wake up. I shouldn't have to say something like that for you to be like, oh, she's probably telling the truth. It is pathetic that people got to go here. It's pathetic that it's going to take somebody to say it was me for somebody to understand. I'm stuck, Ellen, though.
I mean, he actually caught HIV, like having like a lot of women.
Oh yeah, let's just go down the rabbit hole of all of his sins.
I'm just saying.
You want to know what's wild about that though? He faced that head up.
He did.
He didn't stop doing what he's done.
He an advocate. Now he did that. And
period. Listen to me. He faced that head up. How many dudes is running around undetectable? G?
Come on.
In the game. Man. Because I could tell you 20 right now that I could rattle off names, and wouldn't nobody be able to sue me.
If you believed hip-hop's darkest secrets would stay buried forever, you're about to find out just how wrong that assumption was. Tonight, Jaguar Wright pulls the industry's biggest names straight into the spotlight, revealing Diddy's freak-off parties as dangerous playgrounds, where silence isn't simply purchased, it's demanded. We're talking about chart-dominating stars who didn't just risk their careers, but everything they had. When stories about A-listers allegedly catching HIV from the same man are backed by a fearless insider, denial stops being protection. It becomes something much darker. This isn't simply a list, it's an exposure. And if you ever convinced yourself your favorite icons stayed untouched by scandal, prepare yourself. Their hidden stories are finally being dragged into the open. We've all heard the whispers claiming every afterparty hides something ugly, but rarely does anything truly surface. Tonight, Jaguar Wright takes center stage, prepared to tear apart the industry's wall of silence piece by piece. She doesn't tease shocking truths, she throws them directly into the spotlight. Because Jaguar doesn't simply claim to know about Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, the way she speaks makes every word feel like an accusation.
He actually caught HIV, like having like a lot of women.
Oh yeah, let's just go down the rabbit hole of all of his sins.
I'm just saying.
You want to know what's wild about that though? He faced that head up.
He did.
He didn't stop doing what he's done.
He an advocate. Now he did that. And
period. Listen to me. He faced that head up. How many dudes is running around undetectable? G?
Come on.
In the game. Man. Because I could tell you 20 right now that I could rattle off names, and wouldn't nobody be able to sue me.
Feel that chill running down your spine? It isn't only the star power. It's the uncomfortable realization that the playlist sitting in your phone might read more like a sealed report nobody wanted released. How many of your idols ended up on that list? And what is the real reason they'll do almost anything, absolutely anything, to make sure attention never turns in this direction? You followed the headlines for years, but tonight the names stop feeling distant. and no PR team, expensive lawyers, or quiet settlements are coming to save them. If you're already starting to question everything you believed about your favorite celebrities, hold on tight because what Jaguar reveals next doesn't simply reshape careers, it changes reputations, relationships, and possibly the entire legacy surrounding celebrity culture. It's one thing to become caught inside Hollywood's darkest secrets. It's something completely different to become part of the system itself, selecting who gets pulled in next. But according to Jaguar Wright, that's exactly what happened involving two of the biggest names in pop culture. She claims Usher didn't burn the bridge after crossing it. Instead, he allegedly led Justin directly toward the same danger to protect himself. This isn't a story about mentorship, competition, or industry politics. This is survival at its darkest level, passing down not only fame and opportunity, but also the baggage, trauma, and risks that allegedly came with being connected to Diddy.
I don't recall.
No, because I think if a victim comes out against Usher, it'll show how egregious this because if he can be a predator, then anybody can be a predator.
Can't smile on your face the whole time.
You feel what I'm saying? Like people look at Usher, they don't see that. They're not seeing the victim. They're not seeing that boy that got rushed to the hospital. They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there. Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute. And his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that. He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there. But you got custody of him first. Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
Sure.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like, what kind of tool do you gotta be to take another boy, another talented boy, and put him in your place so it ain't gotta be you no more? Because that's what else do. They get victims, and then once they get to a certain age and they get too old for them to enjoy them, they send them out to go get other young kids.
It's no surprise people point to Justin's personal struggles and start asking questions. Facing something humiliating or deeply personal could affect anyone's relationships. And if you think this twisted cycle only traps younger stars stepping into the spotlight, think again. Because sometimes the biggest victims aren't newcomers at all. Sometimes they're the legends, the pioneers, the names that built the culture itself. When the industry decides it's finished with someone, isolation doesn't look accidental. According to these claims, it becomes the final stage of being pushed aside. Hollywood loves redemption stories, but it loves finding someone to blame even more. Craig Mack was once celebrated as the artist who helped put Bad Boy on the map, but what happens when someone who helped build the empire is no longer useful? According to Jaguar, Diddy didn't simply walk away. She claims Craig was left shattered, struggling, sick, and forgotten while the industry moved forward without looking back. Craig Mack didn't only lose his position in the spotlight. He allegedly lost his optimism, his health, and eventually his future, dying isolated inside a cult after claims that he contracted AIDS from the same parties that were supposedly meant to create stars.
You know, the next thing is, man, Craig Mack was the one that jumped Bad Boy off. And, you know, and it got so bad that Craig Mack, who died from AIDS, that man, he got brainwashed so bad from Diddy and got done so wrong. The man went to South Carolina and joined a cult with his family until he died of AIDS a few years ago. The man refused service for AIDS. And the cold part about it, man, if y'all go check the video, right? At one point, he was going to try to delete Diddy. You know, some say that Diddy might have had something to do with hooking him up with the girl that gave him the alphabet, and Craig Mack refused any funeral arrangements from Bad Boy, you know, in the wake of his death. It's bad when somebody go and join a cult. The same thing happened to Loon. The same thing happened to Mace. Everybody's seeking religion, man, when they messing with Bad Boy and Diddy.
And Craig Mack's story is only the beginning, because the deeper you dig, the more it starts looking less like isolated incidents and more like an entire underground machine, filled with stars, insiders, and verified influencers who allegedly weren't just watching the chaos unfold, but actively helping keep it alive. But this is where things become even darker. For every legend pushed aside and forgotten, there's another line of insiders ready to take their place. Not because they don't understand what's happening, but because self-interest makes looking away easier. The sickness inside the system isn't only about what's hidden behind closed doors. It's about the people who allegedly keep feeding the cycle while presenting themselves as heroes, activists, and voices of change online. In a world controlled by blue check marks, influence isn't only currency anymore, it's protection. Ally Carter says she knows this firsthand. She's not speaking in vague terms or dropping mysterious hints. She's naming names, describing the same faces you see dominating timelines every day, building hashtags in public while allegedly living completely different lives once the cameras disappear and the parties begin.
John Jeremy, Denzel Washington, Beyonce Knowles, Ellen DeGeneres, Whoopi Goldberg, Lady Gaga, Chrissy Teigen, John Legend, Joan Rivers, Rob Saget. Do you want me to keep going? Well, the celebrities get their way. Chrissy Teigen knows about that. Everybody knows about her. John Legend knows about that. Denzel Washington knows about that. Oprah knows about that. Ellen knows about that. Sandra Bullock knows about that. Unfortunately, after a second, Melissa McCarthy knows about that. Jimmy Kimmel knows about that. Does everybody want to leak names? The list goes on. You know, it'll tell you who doesn't know, because they were the ones, so adamant. They were the ones still in the social media all April, March, February, and January over track. Who was that again? Oh, wait, that was no one. Because, hashtag Me Too went viral. The celebrities that have been pushing, the blue check mark people that have been big since the beginning, not just when it became.
It's one thing to hear rumors floating around online, but it's something completely different when authorities show up, force open doors, and start collecting evidence themselves. When you begin seeing the scale of what investigators allegedly recovered from those parties, it stops feeling like celebrity gossip and starts feeling much bigger. Because this isn't being framed as simple scandal anymore, it's being described as something far more disturbing. When raids targeted Diddy's properties, investigators allegedly didn't walk into ordinary party scenes filled with harmless excess. According to these claims, they discovered massive amounts of evidence suggesting something much larger was happening behind closed doors, something that critics argue looked organized, structured, and deeply embedded rather than random chaos.
At the time, we only speculated that investigators collected electronic evidence, but now we know for sure. According to the indictment against Diddy, investigators seized more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant from his home. The court doc states these items were used in something referred to as freak-offs, which were elaborate and produced performances that Combs arranged, directed, during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial across state lines and internationally.
This, according to these claims, is the proof. The large-scale preparation, the alleged evidence suggesting this wasn't simply one reckless night or a few people making terrible choices. The narrative being pushed is that it was something much larger, a system allegedly built around power, obedience, influence, and leverage. But physical evidence is only part of the picture. The real shock comes when you start hearing just how many familiar faces allegedly kept appearing in the same rooms over and over again, not simply showing up once as guests, but becoming regular parts of scenes the public was never supposed to witness. For years, people have treated Diddy's so-called black book like forbidden treasure, endlessly discussed but rarely explained openly. But now, Brother Bell says the quiet part out loud. According to his claims, Will Smith wasn't simply present. He says the Fresh Prince became a familiar face in those circles, and according to these allegations, he wasn't alone. Bell claims he personally saw Will Smith and Dwayne Martin heavily involved in the scenes surrounding Diddy's infamous gatherings. According to these claims, these weren't isolated appearances. They were repeated visits to spaces where secrets allegedly became currency and silence became survival.
Sauce that when I walked in, ended up killing him. Like, murder. And
If you think a public denial proves innocence, think again. Watch Will Smith on stage strongly shutting down any mention tied to Diddy rumors, with a defensive reaction that leaves more questions than answers.
I want to do with Puffy, so y'all can stop all this things.
Not everyone who moves through those circles comes out richer or stronger. For some, the cost is heavier than the success. Regret, pain, and public breakdowns no amount of money can fix. Fame or connections don't guarantee protection. In YK Osiris' case, things reportedly went the opposite way. Despite trying to navigate the system, he still faced setbacks, isolation, and public criticism. And when emotional moments played out online, many judged the surface, missing the deeper pressures behind it all.
Family calling, man, I need this. Fuck buddy. Shit, it's not right. So what the for? Like, why the earth for? Like, why? Like, Osiris, why you haven't even? Like, why you haven't even? Like, this can crash. Like, let's do something that like, at this point, like, why on this earth still? Like, why you still? Like, why the hell you on this earth? Why? When nobody, it was like, you don't have nobody. Like, all you on this earth for? I can't even see my kids. Like, what the? I haven't made no music. I haven't made no money for music in like two and a half years.
When you're dealing with the biggest players, risking your reputation, your dignity, and even your future doesn't automatically earn loyalty. You can follow every rule, make every sacrifice, and still discover none of it guarantees success, wealth, or protection. If you want proof, look at Osiris and ask yourself whether the game was ever fair to begin with. Every time someone slips up, breaks character, or dares to describe the system the way they see it, something predictable happens. They aren't simply ignored. They're labeled unstable, emotional, crazy, a joke. And according to critics, that isn't random. It's how the system protects itself when uncomfortable conversations start getting too loud. Osiris said it openly and repeatedly. He described the industry as the devil's playground. He tried warning people that what happens behind closed doors, according to him, goes far beyond simple exploitation and starts looking like something much darker. But how did the gatekeepers respond? They laughed. They rolled their eyes. They called him a crash out, a lunatic. Still, listen carefully to what he was actually trying to say.
It is, man. This industry is not what you think it is. Don't let these people fool you, man. Before in the social media, I'm gonna give y'all a little background of me, man. Like, my life is not perfect, man. Don't think because I'm on Instagram showing this, showing that, I don't got a perfect life either. And I want you to understand that just because all these rappers show all this money and show all this fame, don't think their life is good. It's not. These people are always faking and let you know that this is not what y'all want. Do something that's low key. Do something that can help you out, other than being a target or a flashy. Because God can take this away from you real quick, and it's not a blessing from God. And I tell people that 24/7, this is the devil's game. It is not. This is not no God's game. This right here is for you to look up to me. This right here for you to look up to me. This right here is for you to look up to me. If I don't wear this, you don't look up to me. If rappers don't do what they do, you won't look up to them.
When every other strategy stops working, critics claim the industry reaches for its final weapon. Control through fear, control through secrets, control through leverage. According to these narratives, blackmail becomes the last card left on the table. Orlando Brown, much like Jag, isn't simply making vague statements anymore. He's naming names. He's making bigger claims. And according to him, the most damaging receipts, The ones people believe could destroy careers, reshape reputations, and shake entire empires haven't even surfaced yet.
Meek Mill came out saying that he'll pay somebody $100,000 to investigate that he has nothing to do with anything with Diddy.
Man, look, I can't. You can't take back what your book sees. That's just like the video that's coming out with him and Will. With Will Smith getting the Will Smith. You ain't heard the Will Smith footage?
Yeah.
All right, Will Smith. Then they got the Carl Winslow. Yeah, they got a lot, bro. There's a lot coming out, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna just give it to you 1,000, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jaleel White was Reginald Bill Johnson for a very long time.
He was speaking about a system where stars are allegedly sacrificed, reputations destroyed, and where silence is enforced through fear, pressure, and the threat of exposure. According to these claims, the cycle doesn't stop at fame or influence. It extends into health, careers, and long-term psychological damage, all wrapped in a culture where speaking out comes with consequences. Some of the most extreme allegations suggest that even major artists, rappers, singers, and industry executives may have been exposed to dangerous situations at private events, with silence allegedly maintained not just through money, but through the fear of total professional collapse. And now, even legal voices appearing on record are suggesting that what's building behind the scenes may be too large to contain much longer.
I think the videotapes will ever be released.
Do we live in America?
He said, there's a dog.
Because I will tell you, look, if you just pay attention to the testimony, there were videos on an iPad that the employees had access to, right? And you can't tell me anyone who's watching this, they've been anywhere and something was going down and somebody said, hey man, give me a copy of that. Right?
Yep.
I mean, we can go back to the R. Kelly tape. That was VHS. You know how hard it is to make a copy of a VHS? and it was probably 30 or 40 of them tapes in every neighborhood. Right? Now we're talking about digital. Now we're talking about, hey man, airdrop me that video. Right? Hey,
spread like wildfire.
Exactly. Because I am pretty sure either through the dark web or through one-sided consent of some sort, it's going to be released.
This isn't just about embarrassment anymore. According to these claims, it's being framed as something far larger and far more unsettling, a hidden crisis moving quietly through the highest levels of fame, where silence is part of the system itself. Jaguar Wright has repeatedly pointed toward some of the industry's most sensitive and controversial narratives, including the circumstances surrounding Whitney Houston's final days. In these discussions, attention often turns to the people around her in that period, including Ray J, who was reportedly connected to overlapping social circles involving major industry power players like Diddy and Clive Davis. There are claims about tension, unanswered questions, and details that were never publicly clarified, followed by an immediate wall of silence after her passing. Some versions of the narrative suggest that key details were never fully addressed in public, including alleged private information that surfaced only within close circles, fueling speculation and ongoing debate rather than resolution. According to these claims, the truth being hinted at is far more complicated than whatever made it into official stories or public statements.
That's how Clive did it. And then the next thing you know, she's Jay. And then it's Grammy time. And her and Clive had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobby Christina was present for some of that fight. And then the next thing you know, she's dead. Ray J was the last person to see her alive. He let the drug dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the drug dealer in that gave her the shot. Leola Brown, Bobby Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beaten. They saw her body. She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up. And Brandy was the one that found her. But they They pledge allegiance to 5 too.
According to Jaguar's claims, Ray J is portrayed as someone who may have witnessed disturbing moments around Whitney's final period and chose silence instead of speaking out, despite the ongoing rumors and testimonies that circulate in public discussion. These conversations often point to alleged inconsistencies, unanswered questions, and speculation about what really happened behind closed doors. Some versions of the narrative even suggest that sensitive information, including rumored medical details, was handled quietly and never addressed publicly, fueling even more debate and uncertainty. And in these theories, the most unsettling idea is not just what people claim was known, but how quickly everything was sealed off from public view once the story ended.
Gave that note to Brandy. Brandy read the note, got scared, and went back and told her brother Ray J. I believe Ray J went back and told Diddy what was in that note, and I believe Diddy went and told Clive Davis. I believe Diddy told Ray J to go in that room and get her nice and comfortable, and when she's relaxed, give me a call.
If the claims surrounding Whitney Houston's final days were ever considered too sensitive or controversial to fully unpack in public, it naturally raises questions about how many other stories in the entertainment world remain just beneath the surface, never fully confirmed or openly discussed. From this perspective, some argue that the industry is filled with moments that are seen but rarely acknowledged, where patterns are noticed but explanations stay carefully controlled. And despite heavy PR management and financial influence, rumors have a way of circulating outside official narratives, shaping public perception in ways that are hard to fully erase. Gene Deal has been cited in these discussions, offering his own interpretations of events that many people continue to debate rather than definitively understand.
Everybody kind of knew back in the day that Meek Mills and Puff was a little too friendly. Anytime two rappers or two people in the industry come dressed up alike,
Everyone noticed Meek Mill's behavior shifting over time, appearing increasingly close in certain circles, and before long, conversations began to circulate about what people thought they were observing. It wasn't just what fans saw online through social media moments. It was the kind of behind-the-scenes talk that never fully makes it into public statements. Over time, those conversations only grew louder around Diddy's well-known private events, where attendees claimed the atmosphere was impossible to misread once you were inside it. According to online chatter and speculation, people in the room interpreted things in their own ways, but very few ever spoke about it openly afterward. And as details and rumors spread, even some of the most connected industry voices became noticeably quieter in public. Since legal pressure began surrounding Diddy, Meek Mill has kept a lower profile according to observers, fueling more speculation online about whether distancing himself was intentional or simply coincidental. But like most stories in this space, what's confirmed and what's assumed often gets blurred together, leaving only questions and interpretations behind.
Meek Mill's got to deal with what he got to deal with based on the relationship him and Puff had. Dressing alike, being cozy, Puff calling him daddy, saying little innuendos to him. People are looking at that and saying Meek Mill is wrong for saying no Diddy. But you can't tell a man how to spend his money and how to make love to his wife or his Diddy. Diddy had rented a mansion out for Meek Mill's birthday party, and he had rented it for like $25,000. I remember we rented one of Cher's mansion out. You know what I'm saying? And that's the day he had fired his cook, but that's a whole nother story. You know what I'm saying? It was me, Wolf, Mace, was Ox staying there? No, just me, Wolf, Mace, Puff, and there was one other person staying in the mansion. But anyway, long story short is that they came recently. This happened a long time ago, but they recently just made a statement that they found loads of cocaine. I wonder what they did with the cocaine, because they didn't turn it over to the police. They said they found loads of cocaine, razor blades. They said that the sheets were bloody, nasty. They found a whole lot of used condoms. And it was a Diddy party, giving in Meek Mill's honor for his birthday. I was like, yo, wow. They said it was disgusting the way that they left it.
But this system, according to critics, isn't limited to just rappers and music executives. The claims extend into comedy, film, and nearly every corner of entertainment. Orlando Brown has added fuel to the ongoing conversation, pointing toward Kevin Hart's rapid rise while echoing ideas that Cat Williams has also alluded to in past interviews. Within these narratives, there's a recurring belief that no one reaches the very top of the industry without encountering pressure, compromise, or situations that raise questions about what really happens behind the scenes. And whether people agree or dismiss it, the discussion continues to grow every time another voice steps forward with a different version of how the system allegedly works.
Tory Hart exactly what Kevin Hart did in order to be where he's at. Now, I don't know if it was Kevin that pissed him off. I don't know who it was that pissed him off. But I do understand that the comedy world is nothing to play with. And since, Richard Pryor left us, God rest his soul, it's more like, everybody's trying to be Richard Pryor. And I can't put myself in position to not understand why some people just don't have the kind of respect for Cat that they should have. Kevin been pissing off a lot of people, comedically. You know what I'm saying? And I think that instead of trying to bash somebody that knows what they're talking about and bash somebody that has respect in the comedy world, I think that they need to look deeper into why is he letting this information go? Why is this information just now being released? Why? I mean, come on. Why does his chain look bigger than any rappers that I've ever seen rap? Why, out of all the comedians, does he still have a $3 million mansion in Malibu? Why, out of every single comedian, does he still get picked on? But still looks like he's getting a check for nothing, just to sit on his couch, and everybody else look like, they're has-beens.
So now that more stories, claims, and counterclaims are circulating louder than ever, it raises a bigger question. If so many iconic figures are constantly surrounded by rumors, unanswered questions, and conflicting narratives, how much of the culture we admire is actually built on silence, pressure, and carefully controlled storytelling? With clips, alleged receipts, and online confessions spreading faster than ever, people are starting to ask who really has control over the narrative in an era where loyalty feels rare and information spreads instantly. The truth, according to many online voices, isn't something distant anymore. It's something being debated in real time. So drop your thoughts below. Who do you think is shaping the conversation behind the scenes? And when every story is competing with another version of the truth, what's left for people to fully trust or believe in? If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to stay tuned for more discussions like this. Until next time, stay aware.